Welcome to Smell-Bell-Verbal Indian ENT models. Now we are going to see the rest of the sutures of the skull. So yesterday we have seen the coronal suture, sagittal suture, lambdoid suture, and rest of the important sutures of the skull with which we can understand various connections between the bones. The next suture of importance is the parieto-mastoid suture. So this is the parietal bone, this is the temporal bone, this is the mastoid process. So when you take a link between these two, you can call it as the parieto-mastoid suture in this manner. This is the parieto-mastoid suture. The next suture of importance is the occipito-mastoid suture. This being the occipital bone in this model, and this is the mastoid bone, so we can call it as occipito-mastoid suture at this junction. Occipito-mastoid suture. So the next important suture is the squamous bone of the part of the temporal bone and mastoid bone. Squamo-mastoid suture. We are not marking it so deeply. Why? Because it's a faint one, and we can just understand with the junction between squamo-mastoid suture in the same bone called as temporal bone. The next suture of importance is the intermaxillary suture, wherein two maxilla, palatine process of the maxilla are going to attach over here. So two maxilla are joining here and they are forming a suture over here, intermaxillary suture with a black color which we have shown it here. Continuing that, in between the horizontal plates of palatine bones, there is a suture called as interpalatine suture. So at the junction of this one and that one, previous suture, that is intermaxillary and interpalatine, you could see the black color and green color aggregation. Probably it is not seen so properly with the green color. We are trying to mark it with the blue color here so that we can see it properly. It's almost looking like black here. The differentiation should be evident. So once we take that, so this particular suture which is separating the maxilla, palatine part process of the maxilla and horizontal plate of the palatine bone, here it is looking like a sword or a cross. So this separates the maxilla and also the horizontal plate of palatine bone. This particular suture which we have drawn now between the horizontal plate of the palatine bone and the palatine process of maxilla is called as the palato-maxillary suture. We are trying to draw it over here. The next suture of importance is the zygomatico-maxillary suture. This is the maxilla, this is the zygomatic bone. So this is the zygomatic process for the temporal bone. This is for the frontal bone. We are trying to draw this zygomatico-maxillary suture. Zygomatico-maxillary suture. Here it is represented like that. The next suture of importance is the frontonasal suture, wherein in between the nasal bones, this is the frontal bone, these two are the nasal bones. So this is the frontonasal suture. And in the same go, we'll go for the internasal suture also. Internasal suture. It is almost like a T-shaped here. Internasal suture. We're having it like this, like an internasal suture. The next suture of importance is the frontomaxillary suture. So this is the frontal process of the maxilla and this is the frontal bone. So frontomaxillary suture this side and this side. So this red is followed by frontomaxillary suture. The next suture which is important is the frontozygomatic suture. Frontozygomatic suture which is lying over here. So once we take the opposite side exactly, the frontozygomatic suture is over here. This is the frontozygomatic suture. Frontozygomatic suture. The next